Welcome to the Higher Ed Geek Podcast, where we explore the impact of EdTech on the student experience with engaging, fun, and relevant conversations that honor the wide range of work happening all across the higher ed ecosystem. I'm your host, Dustin Ramsdell. I've been working in and around higher ed for the past decade, focused on student support and digital experience. Join me every week for discussions with some of the best minds in education technology who will be bringing you their perspectives on how digital transformation is reshaping the way we recruit, engage, and graduate learners. You'll hear firsthand accounts of how institutional leaders are developing their strategy, as well as get deeper on the stories of how these EdTech tools are being built to foster better student outcomes. With that, let's get to today's episode. Hey, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Higher Ed Geek Podcast, episode number 329, with Shai Reshef from University of the People returns to the show to talk about new certificates that they have been launching at that institution, talking about his institutional strategy, how they evaluate the credentials that they offer, keep costs in check, and continue to be a high-quality, affordable, accessible option for learners all over the globe. Really appreciate Shai for coming back on, and obviously University of People, super unique model, doing really great work, and kind of emulates what they're doing to be trying to achieve some of the same things in your own way as a college and university. So without further ado, episode number 329 with Shai Reshef. It is a pleasure and an honor to have a return guest, a very esteemed kind of icon, I feel, in the higher education world. Your prior episode, the LinkedIn post, I remember in particular at least, was like super popular. Like a lot of people engage with it. So that just stuck in my mind when a member of your team reached out to have you come back on and talk about some new stuff going on at University of the People. I was very excited to hear and was super eager to get you back on. But you want to briefly reintroduce yourself and talk about the institution of University of the People just super quickly before we get into just some new stuff that's been happening there.
Sure. So let me start by thanking you for inviting me again. It's an honor for me to be here. The University of the People is the first nonprofit, tuition-free, accredited American online university that opened the gates for every student who do not have otherwise the opportunity for higher education.
Yeah, and I think that I even had other people reaching out after that episode came out. There's just a lot of, I think, admiration for that model and a lot of respect for what you do and everything. And I think even just to kind of capture it here as well, with like your background and that sort of thing, was there any part of it, I guess, like the genesis of University of the People at the beginning, that kind of starting it, just any sort of connection that you draw, something from your background that was like maybe the initial seed of the idea with starting University of the People? Because now you've been going for a while and doing cool, great new stuff here that we'll talk about, but always just curious to kind of to draw that line back to kind of the beginning.
Yeah, I started the university 17 years ago. And by now we have 170,000 students coming from 213 countries. But before starting the university, I created and ran the first online university in Europe. After selling this business, I realized that actually all this can be done without charging the students much, because there was open source technology, open educational resources. So I told myself all I need to do is to put it together and create tuition-free university for the hundreds of millions of people around the world who need higher education and are qualified for it.
Yeah, and I think a detail that we'll use to guide us through this conversation that I'm sure just a lot of kind of different thinking than kind of the traditional mindset that goes into kind of operating colleges and universities, typically with you being this unique tuition-free and folks kind of volunteering their time and using like open educational resources and all these sort of new things, because all things considered, starting a college university 17 years ago is a pretty distinct thing. Like a lot of these institutions have been running for perhaps hundreds of years and running a certain way. So I want to examine one aspect that I imagine is important for University of the People to operate, be successful, keep costs down. What programs traditionally has University of the People offered?
We have 35,000 refugees. We have 5,400 women hiding in Afghanistan and studying with us. These people come to us in order to have a better future. We want to give them broad education. We want to teach them critical thinking, but they come to us in order to have a better future. So we started with a business administration and computer science, the degrees that are most likely to help people find a job. Later on, we also added BA in health science. Again, health profession is much in demand. And later on, we start offering a master level degrees with the same thing. MBA, Master in Education, and Master in IT. So the only degrees we offer are degrees that are likely to help our students find a job. Moreover, we are not in the position, neither financially, but nor in terms of our belief in what students should have. We don't have a lot of electives. We actually move the students along their education from one course to the other until they graduate, because the goal is to make them graduate. As soon as they can, they will see the shift in their career right away.
Yeah, and I guess as a brief follow-up to that question in particular, because I think there's obviously a lot of, it's like a dilemma, or an existential crisis as they happen in higher ed. The idea of, is college just to prepare workers and just to do that, kind of be this, like, people who kind of bemoan that would say, oh, it's just a conveyor belt of people to become employees or whatever. It should be, on the other side, people saying college is to, like, teach you all these, like, critical thinking and, like, durable skills. My mindset is always like, we can do both. And it sounds like that's your philosophy, is certainly with the kind of focus of the programs that obviously guides where it's, we're directing you towards these things that are, directly applicable, super relevant in terms of the workforce to get you gainful employment. But we're not overlooking, like, durable skills will help you to be successful in those jobs. So I guess, is that fair to say, I guess, what I'm hearing or the impression that I get of your sort of point of view with your programs?
Exactly, and to be more specific, 1/3 of the degree is general studies, any degree that you take. So 2/3 is the profession courses, and 1/3 is general studies, exactly in order to make you a great person, not only educated in the field that you are preparing yourself for. And to take it even a step further, there are now a lot of people who come and say, oh, higher education is not important. All you need is to take some courses and find a job. And I'm saying, wait a second, actually you're going 50 years back right now. Because at the time, there are always been vocational studies, right? You want to be a plumber, you take course in plumbing and you become a plumber. And these are not academic courses. I respect it, but this is non-academic. And a lot of people say, you take a boot camp, you can become a programmer and you don't need higher education. Yeah, you might become a programmer, but not only that we want you to be a better citizen and well-educated and know the world and have critical thinking, but also we want to prepare you for the point where the program that you studied will become obsolete. Will you have your own tools? Have you developed your mind to the point that you can prepare yourself and study new field? Because studying one program doesn't mean that you're able to study other programs by yourself. So we want to give you the tools to be able to survive in the world for the long run and not only with one specific skill. And for that perspective, I think that higher education is extremely important. It's important for the people, it's important for the society. And I think that people who criticize higher education are right from a lot of perspective. The cost of higher education, the ROI, how much do I invest, what do I get in return in terms of the job that I'm getting in terms of salary. But the overall principle of higher education is extremely important. We should just make it much better and much more affordable to everyone. And then I guess, because when you ask people, do you want higher education? The answer is yes. Are you willing to afford it? Oh, that's a question. So let's make higher the part that make the reason to attend still there, and the part that makes the questions go away.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even with kind of, you're talking about your story, like one big step in that direction was like the advent of kind of the modern online education, digital education wave that's hit in terms of just amazing tools and platforms and ways to do live sessions and different things. Like that was like one major gateway to make higher education more accessible to people all over the world, wherever they are. Now, I think cost, because I think we've reached in the US, like peak student loans and different things. We've been like, all right, enough is enough. We've got to figure out something here. And you're seeing a lot of different institutions offering comparatively like low cost, different programs and things like that. And obviously you've been a trailblazer in this area, and I'm sure you'll continue to have a lot of folks knocking at your door to just be like, so how do you kind of control costs and figure all this stuff out? And I think, again, what was helpful for me thinking through what would be helpful to kind of guide our conversation is that idea of being kind of scrutinizing and very intentional about your program offerings and everything. Again, the kind of initial outreach for this episode was around a new certificate So just talk a little bit about that, what kind of went into the thinking, deciding to launch this new certificate, what kind of it entails and everything, and then we'll go from there.
Along the same line of what you want the students to have, we decided to start offering certificates. And the idea with certificates in general is, why don't you teach students the skills that they want along their studies toward a degree? So give them the tools to go to the job market right away while they were studying, and so both they will have certificate for the job market, but also academic degrees. We are just launching a certificate in gaming. Now, gaming is a huge industry, $200 billion industry. A lot of people are involved in this industry, but more so, a lot of people like to play games. And we tell them, why don't you become professional? Learn how to develop games. Learn how to market games. So we develop a certificate together with Endless, who help us sponsor the development of this program, where we prepare students exactly for this very purpose. It's 6 different courses that they study. When they are done, they get a certificate where they can go to the job market and become part of the gaming industry, but at the same time, they get credit for 6 courses. So they can continue the study with us, or do both. Go work, and while working, also continue their studies. By the way, most of our students work while studying in general. And we believe that this is amazing because we will give students actually great skills to the job market, but also move them along the degree. And this is part of our new program of building stackable certificates. So while you're studying with us, you will earn one certificate after the other until at the end, you actually get a degree as well. We also have, by the way, in addition to the gaming, we have certificates that we offer together with IBM in data analytics and cybersecurity. Again, the same idea. When you're done, you get IBM certificate for the job market and you get credit. And actually, it's going one step further, not only teaching the degrees that are more relevant for the job market, but along those studies to accumulate certificates that will help them find a degree even earlier. You know, I have an example a few years ago that maybe without even thinking about it, that's what led the idea of the certificate, where the students that after 9 months studying computer science with us got a job with IBM. That's way before the certificates, with no connection to the certificate. Mm-hmm. And they continue studying with us. And they said, we have done our job because if we help you find a job with IBM along the way, that's exactly what we want, to give them a chance for a better future. So, yeah.
Let's take a quick pause to talk about something big happening this summer, the Engage Summit 2026. The next era of higher ed isn't about adding more tools. It's about building the agentic campus, where AI works alongside your teams to recruit smarter, support students faster, and scale impact without burning people out. From real-world examples of agentic systems in action to hands-on sessions that show how AI can coordinate enrollment, marketing, advising, and operations, Engage Summit is where institutions move from experimentation to execution. If you're ready to design a campus where AI doesn't just assist, but instead acts, learns, and drives outcomes, then you'll want to be in Charlotte June 15th through the 17th. But it gets even better. As an Enrollify listener, you can grab your ticket for half off. Just head to engage.element451.com and use code Dustin50 to apply the 50% off discount. That's DUSTIN50. All right, let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, it's really great stuff. And also just for me, it warms my heart as a lifelong gamer and loving how just that industry has grown and evolved and changed. And with esports and like competitive gaming, that's the whole like ecosystem within all of this. If it's like, hey, if you like that and you want to maybe just like help run a professional team and do stuff there, or the development of games and marketing them. But it's a big industry. It's a global industry. And knowing that you have students all over the world and everything, it definitely makes a lot of sense. And I guess, that idea of making moves into the certificates and everything, because it is that idea of like how I see it. And I think students do as well. My certificates continue to be really popular. Is you get your like business administration degree, like that credential holds a lot of weight, very translatable. It just clicks with people when you're like applying to jobs or whatever else. But if you know that you are interested in particular things, like getting your certificate says that you are certified in finance or business analytics or whatever it is, that also sends a very clear signal to the marketplace and can help you get the type of opportunities that you want. And obviously, like, it's that idea of the more that you know as an individual, the types of things that you want to go towards. It's nice that, yeah, you can start to kind of specialize, get that kind of formal classroom experience and get their credential that is really going to be very translatable to the marketplace and everything. And a big thing for me too, kind of from what you're saying, is that idea of people can't just go off on their own and just take a one-off thing. And we think we're just like, yeah, I'm like certified in Microsoft Excel or whatever. It's like, that is a good skill. That's a great skill. That's going to be really helpful in a lot of jobs. But you're doing it by yourself, and like the idea of trying to integrate everything and also doing everything within a supportive educational environment is where I hope more institutions go, is like not seeing some of those things as like the enemy or something. The idea of all these different offerings by like companies or whatever else. It's, hey, let's try to make some partnerships and be like, yeah, sure, go for those that are great. Do it with us and we can try to help you connect the dots. Make sure you've got like a support coach to help you through things or whatever else. Just like the institution has such a supportive learning environment. If they bring in all these other different things, like these certificates that are focused on different skill sets, I feel like it would be like good for everybody.
I can't agree more with you. First of all, like in everything, when I started the university, the idea was, let's build a model where higher education is affordable, accessible, with the right quality. And my belief was, and I was wrong, that as soon as we do it, tons of other universities will jump on board and say, we are going to do the same. And I even remember that when we started the university, I announced actually in 2010 that we are following the earthquake in Haiti, that we are going to take 250 students from Haiti and teach them for survivors and teach them for free. And I want them to welcome them. Welcome them when they start studying. And then I found myself meeting with a few applicants. And one of them asked me, what's the future? And they said, listen, we are going to continue growing and grow until we wake up one morning and see that all the students in the world are being served. And then there is no need for us. This was a dream that hasn't happened. We're still the only one, but we still believe that others should do the same, because higher education should be accessible, should be affordable with the right quality. Now it goes the same with certificates. I believe that universities should not only have great general education, but be more relevant for the job market, educate people for job opportunities, and again, not forget about all the general studies and all the general knowledge that students should get, but make the universities much more relevant for the job market. And we are, in a way, leading the way, and we believe that the others should, and eventually we'll do it because there is a pressure. We've seen our situation where a lot of universities are being closed in the U.S. every week. It's a weekly phenomena. And this is because people simply are not willing to pay the price. So the enrollment shrinks and they have to close down because the financial model cannot sustain this situation. What we're saying, before you get to this point, think what you need to do in order to survive and listen to the market. And students want much more relevant education and much more affordable. So, yeah. So we're leading the way, and eventually I think that many others will do the same, and I hope so, because it's good for the student and it's good for the society. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like that idea of the balance of relevance and affordability, because it's even that idea of, okay, maybe you're not at the most expensive college in the world. What am I paying for here? Like something's got to give in the sense of, yeah, affordability and the cost of institutions. What are they offering? Is it relevant? Is it accessible? And all that. And then, yeah, I think seeing that an institution like yours is able to figure it out, that would be like, if you can shed some weight in terms of, do we need as much of a physical footprint on our campus? Do we need some of these things that just maybe aren't serving us as well anymore? Like that would allow you to put in more time and resources or whatever, or just be able to change and stuff. So that's kind of just on my mind, because I can imagine some people are listening might be like, hey, I totally agree. I just don't know if our institution could like get there. We've just been doing things a certain way or whatever else. But I think that a good leader has a good vision and a good strategy. I think you can start to make these moves to head in the right direction before you get to that closure point.
You're so right. I think that universities have challenges because of their structure, and we can't underestimate it. Because you have union. We have admission process. And our admission process is coming to anyone who is interested in studying with us and say, as long as you have high school diploma and proficiency in English, come and take 2 courses. Just take 2 of our courses. Show yourself that you like what we offer. Show yourself that's actually what you expect, but show us that you meet our standard. If you pass 2 of our courses, it means that you meet our standard. You're being accepted. You get credit for these 2 courses and go on. I believe that's the best way to screen students, because why do I need a team of admission advisors to look at your history, to look at how you did in high school? Who knows if your high school was good or bad? Who knows if you cheated or not? Who knows if you had a coach that prepared you for the college? Just take 2 of my courses. That's the best screening. But when you think about it, we don't need admission department, because you don't need all these people to do all the work. Now, with the university our size, 170,000 students, think about how many admission people we will need, probably thousands of them. We simply don't need them. Now, go to any university and say, get rid of your entire admission department. Oh, boy, they will be on strike in 5 seconds. There is an issue. You don't want to let people go right just because. So how do you navigate? On the other hand, if you don't do it, you will close all the way. You will close down. So how do you navigate between the two? So you need to be bold. You need to have leadership. You need to take unpleasant and unpopular decisions. When you come to the people and say it's either or, either we close down or we shrink, the answer is clear. So, yeah.
Do you foresee any other kind of evolutions of your academic offerings continuing to diversify? Or are you going to maybe go more on the certificate part? And I guess even just to clarify too, because you were saying stackable, I'm imagining too that like the certificates could be an on-ramp for students to then go study in the degree programs, and then degree program students could certainly add on certificates. I guess just clarify that point. I guess just anything that you could tease as you foresee your academic programs potentially continuing to diversify and evolve.
So 2 things. First of all, again, we will only offer degrees that are in a significant demand. We're never going to offer degrees that are small, because our ability to be the size we are and to serve as many students as we serve right now and continue growing, because we plan on continue growing, is by offering degrees that are the same degree that serve a lot of people. Because if we have 100 degrees or 200 degrees, the manpower that we will need in order to offer them will prevent us from being tuition free. So this is one. Yes, we do plan, first of all, to offer a degree in general studies, to gear mainly to people who went to college, drop out, either for financial reasons, for family reasons, for work reasons, for any reason. And we're never being able to go back to complete the degree, either because it's too expensive, by now they have jobs and they can't afford the time, or to leave, or because they're family. So to offer them just a path to complete a degree, so they will have a degrees that, because many of them feel that they're being stuck now because they don't have a degree, to offer them the opportunity for a degree. So this is general studies, which will enable us to accept anyone with college credit in any field, bring them to us, build a path for them to complete a degree, so they will not be stuck and will be able to continue moving up the ladder. So this is one. Second, we teach in English and we teach in Arabic as well. So the Arabic was open to serve the Syrian refugees when Assad started bombing. Didn't start. Bomb all the universities, and all the students were left without institution to study. They came to us. They couldn't make it in English. So we offer Arabic. So we teach in English and Arabic. We have 30,000 students studying in Arabic right now. And we envision other languages that we will offer, but obviously additional certificates. We want to offer as many certificates as we can. So pretty much you will only study toward certificates while you study toward a degree. So there is a lot to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's super powerful, the general education piece, because I feel like that has been such a weird thing. I've seen a lot of institutions announce initiatives or different like organizations and stuff, but then it seems to go quiet, because I still think it's that idea of the dollars and cents of it all or whatever else. Like on some area, maybe it just is like not making the inroads at maybe the size and the scale that they imagine, certainly when they're making maybe some big like press release announcement or whatever of we're going to do this and tackle this huge population in the US that has some college no degree. So it's the kind of the idea of, okay, let's try to minimize that part of the equation here of what's the time commitment and is it accessible? Is it online or whatever? And then the cost and stuff like that. I think, yeah, that's great. And I think, yeah, just really that opportunity too of folks to do stuff like that, start to get the different certificates and things to kind of put a little bit of a specialization into their kind of academic profile, as it were. But yeah, so that's really great to hear. Appreciate you outlining some of that for us here. And as we close out this episode, we will leave it with our final question. I'll give you a final word here that we ask everybody to conclude our conversations. Advice that you would give to other higher ed leaders navigating this moment.
Every day, think if what you do is serve best your students. That's why you're there. You're there not for yourself, not for your faculty. You are there for the student. So any aspect of your operation, whether it serves the students best. Second, are you the most efficient? And are you set well for the future? Both the future in terms of what the students need. As I said, that's the most important thing, but also to be sustainable and to give good service. And if not, things what you have to change in order to be this way, even if it is hard. So the survival of higher education for many of us is a real struggle. And you should make sure that you are above the water.
That idea of flipping the mindset of you're going to be more student-centered and thinking through kind of the cost piece in the US with like financial aid and everything, like I've seen so many people trying to kind of chip away at like, why is it so complex in terms of like when you get a financial aid letter and costs and figuring out how is everything coming together? Like one, obviously the price is very high. So it's like just a very heightened like moment or analysis for people, but then it's always every institution's different. They make it very opaque and complex and just whatever. So it's like that idea of if you just if we're going to be more student centered, like one, we just need to be like hyper fixated on reducing costs and being more affordable. But even then, just whatever we charge and however we do that, just make sure it is super clear and simple. And just because I've even seen where like the idea of the methods that people pay, where it's like, you want to use your PayPal account, you want to use like Apple Pay or whatever, do payment plans, you want to do like, just I've talked with people where it is just, yeah, I guess it doesn't make a difference. If for some reason that's just the way that people want to pay for their tuition, why would you like turn them away or whatever? So I think, yeah, it's that idea of keeping that as a North Star, whether it's thinking about the financial side of things, your academic offerings, the modalities of learning, always super helpful to just really try to reset, focus on that, and have that kind of guide your decision making and your strategy making and everything. Appreciate you so much for coming back onto the show, sharing all that you did, all the great work that you and your team does, and we'll have ways to connect with you and University of the People in the episode description. But yeah, it's always great talking with you.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Higher Ed Geek podcast. This show is a proud member of the Enrollify Network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow. So be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit Enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.